all of the documents we associate with the surrender are complex, and that includes Lee's famous farewell address to his troops.
General Order Number 9 is one of the most famous documents from the Civil War. It was written by a member of Lee's staff who talked to Lee about what sentiment he wanted to convey, and then the staff officer wrote a text and Lee edited a little bit, and then you have this very famous document.
The story is that Lee said, well, go to my ambulance, my medical wagon, and I'll post a sentry outside and you write this. So it was actually done on the morning of April 10th.
He's talking to the men who were there to the bitter end, and he gives them this wonderful compliment about how no one could have carried out their duties more effectively than they did, and that they could carry that with them for the rest of their lives.
And Lee, in effect, is trying to stake out a position, Lee and the men in his inner circle, even as he's in that room, and certainly in the days that follow, that this Union victory had been one of essentially might over right, that the Confederates were defeated but blameless and righteous.
I mean, Lee explained defeat as one side losing to a more powerful foe. That is how he put it in General Order Number 9, to the overwhelming resources of our foe. And that was certainly part of it. That wasn't all of it. The United States had always had more men and materiel. They needed to get the right general. And they got the right general with Grant. But Lee explained it in terms, I think, that the men would understand as an indomitable effort against very long odds that in the end failed. I think that's the message of General Order Number 9, and that there's no loss of honor in waging that kind of fight.
And we know that the farewell address was inherently political because if we look at reactions to it, we see that many Northerners were very upset by it. As one Northern newspaper put it, Union newspaper put it, the farewell address was a slap in the face to loyal Union soldiers. How dare Lee congratulate his men for their unsurpassed bravery at a moment that they've been defeated. Again, for Union men, their victory was not reducible to numbers and resources and force. Their victory was a product of virtue, skill, righteousness.
Lee's recommendations after the war were important, especially because he was the leading figure in the Confederacy. He was more important than Jefferson Davis in the Confederacy. He and his army were the most important national institution in the Confederacy. Robert E. Lee, by the midpoint of the war, functioned much as George Washington had for the colonists during the American Revolution. He is the man in the Confederacy, so his example and what he says to do after the war really matters, and he understood that. And I think that's one reason that he was so careful about his public statements.
Even after 150 years, there's still a lot of conjecture about this particular intriguing, sort of mysterious document.